Kia ora Rotorua, ahead in tonight's bulletin. Mayor Kevin Winters says Council will again consider limiting this year's rates increase to 1%. The International Decade of Action for Road Safety kicks off, and toxic shellfish warnings reinstated for the Bay of Plenty. Those stories and more in detail up next on City News. The Council will meet next week for hearings on the annual plan. Over 2,000 submissions on the draft annual plan have been received. Mayor Kevin Winters says half of the submissions were on the proposed rates increase for the year. Mr Winters says many of them were calling for the Council to adopt a 1% increase. He says it's something the Council will look again at.
We've proposed through the draft annual plan a 3.1% rate increase spread right across the board. So if we're talking about 1%, we're going to have to trim further budgets. So we'll take that on board. Our CEO's taken that on board to see if that can be done. It means that levels of service have to come down, and that's always a really difficult call for us. People like to see progress in the city. They like to see things happening. And if you start cutting back on levels of service, that's when it really impacts people. So we'll do our best, and see what happens at the end of the hearings of the submission. But I always enjoy them. It's always a nice time to contact with your community and hear it from grassroots.
The 3 days of annual plan submission hearings will take place from the 17th, with the adoption of the annual plan 2011-2012 due on June the 30th. Today, the International Decade of Action for Road Safety kicked off. The initiative is supported by the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Nearly 1.3 million people worldwide die every year as a result of road traffic collisions, making road traffic injuries the 10th leading cause of death globally. In 2010, New Zealand transport organisations agreed on the new National Road Safety Strategy, Safer Journeys. It guides efforts to improve road safety over the next decade. New Zealand Transport Safety Bay of Plenty Director Harry Wilson says the strategy recognises that the whole transport system plays a part in protecting people from death and serious injury. Mr Wilson says this includes safer roads and roadsides, safer speeds and vehicles, and safer road user behaviours. As part of the Decade of Action for Road Safety launch, Harry Wilson is urging road users to do their part to reduce the number of people injured and killed on our roads. Rotorua residents will this Sunday be able to hear all about January's project at Lake Rotomahana, which uncovered what is believed to be the remains of the legendary pink terraces. Dr Cornel Durand, geologist and geochemist at GNS Science, led the investigation and will present a talk about the project at Rotorua Museum on Sunday at 2 p.m. Dr Durand described the discovery as the find of a lifetime when the terraces were uncovered during a joint New Zealand and American project to map the lake floor and the geothermal system underneath it. In the 1880s, the pink and white terraces were described as the eighth wonder of the natural world, but were destroyed in the 1886 eruption of Mount Tarawera. The traditional seafood gathering grounds of Te Arawa are again subject to toxic shellfish warnings. The warnings are from anywhere along the coastline from Mount Maunganui in the Western Bay of Plenty to the Whakatane Heads in the east. This area includes Papamoa, Maketu, Pukehina, and also applies to all inshore islands and estuary areas within the stretch of coast. The health warning applies to all bivalve shellfish, including mussels, pepe, tuatua, cockles, oysters, scallops, cat's eyes and kina. Paua, crayfish and crabs can still be taken, but as always, the gut should be removed before cooking. Anyone suffering illnesses after eating shellfish should seek medical attention immediately. For all health warnings updates across the Bay of Plenty and the Lakes District, call 0800 221 555. In sport tonight, Fish and Game officers have issued a reminder to anglers over the rules for fishing the Oho Channel after 2 men were caught fishing without licences and for using illegal gear. Eastern Region Fish and Game officers intercepted the two 20-year-old local men last week. The pair were found near the top of the channel with spin fishing gear, which is illegal. The pair face further action from Fish and Game over the two offences, which are punishable with fines of up to $5,000. Fish and Game are urging the public to be vigilant and report any illegal fishing they see by calling 0800 poaching. To weather now. Tonight, rain, heavy at times, strengthening northeasterlies. Overnight, a low of 12. Tomorrow, Thursday, rain slowly clearing, northerlies, a high of 19 and a low of 10. Outlook for Friday, rain at times, freshening northwesterlies, a high of 18 and a low of 11. Marine forecast for Lake Rotorua tomorrow, Thursday. Becoming northwest 10 knots early morning, dying away in the evening. Waves easing to less than half a metre and rain clearing. If you've missed any of tonight's bulletin, you can watch it again by going to tvrotorua.co.nz and click on the View Latest City News link. Or to view what's on in our city, click on the Upcoming Events link. Still to come in tonight's programme, we update the Council's Rugby World Cup plans with Renee Nathan, and Shop Rotorua members Rob Parry and Derek Enright detail their concerns about antisocial behaviour in town.